Hi, I'm Paul Crawley from the Net Return, and thank you so much for your purchase of our Simulator Series golf net. Today we're going to be talking about the assembly of our 10-foot Sim Series and our 12-foot Sim Series. Basically the same video. The only difference between those two nets are really 3 additional tubes that comprise the 12-foot Simulator Series. So, when your Simulator Series arrives to you, it's going to be in 2 boxes. The first box is going to have the majority of the tubes in it. The second box is going to have your netting sleeved on 1 tube along with your Sim screen, okay? So you're going to get 2 boxes. On the Sim 10, there's a total of 26 tubes, and that includes the tube that's sleeved on the net itself, okay? So you're going to have 26 tubes. On a 12-footer, you're going to have 29 tubes. And again, the red and black sleeve net, okay, is on that 1 tube in the second box. So remember, on a 10-footer, you're going to get 26 tubes. On a 12-footer, you're going to have 3 additional tubes, making it 29. So in this video, I'm going to build out today the Sim Series 10. Same process for the Sim Series 12, except there's 3 additional tubes that you're going to connect up, but the process is pretty much identical. So let's get started building our Sim Series. All right, so the first thing is I've taken all the tubes out of the box and I laid them out on the floor here so you get an idea. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find each tube that's labeled base, and we're going to start by building our base first. Remember, on the Sim 12, there's 3 additional tubes that you have on a Sim 12 compared to the Sim 10. Today, again, I'm building out the Sim 10, identical process to the Sim 12, but remember, we start by locating each tube labeled base and building from the base all the way up. Let's get started. So I've just built out the base, and you'll notice that on the base tubes, each base label is facing up so that it can be read. If it's facing down, the base is actually upside down. So you want to make sure when you build your base, each base label is facing up so it can be read. So now that the base is built, we're going to start building up. All right, now that I have my verticals installed, we're going to keep building up. Okay, so now I built up and I've gotten to the point where I can't reach the top of the simulator bay anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip the simulator on its back and finish building the frame itself. All right, now we're going to take the unit and tip it on its back. You're going to need a second set of hands to help you do this. I have Andreas here, so he's going to help me tip it on its back. Now that we have the unit on its back, we'll continue assembling the top of the Simulator Series frame. All right, so the majority of the frame is built right now. The last tube that goes on the inside frame is the tube with the sleeved net, okay? So that's the red and black tube, red and black striped tube. We're gonna put this on last here and connect the final piece of the frame. All right, so we connected the last tube with the net to the inside frame. Now that we've done that, before we stand our unit back up, we want to slide the netting down the frame itself before we stand it back up. This will help avoid us having to stand on a ladder to do this. So we're going to, again, leave this on the ground right now, disconnect the Velcro tab, And now we're going to slide it down the frame itself. All right, so we've slid down the net on the frame itself. And what's really important to note is that each sleeve has slots in it that are sewn in for the outside support. So once you slide that sleeve down, make sure you have your outside support showing on both sides of the net itself. Okay, so we slid down the net on the frame itself, and at the very bottom is this little Velcro tab here, okay? Don't confuse it with this guy here, the longer one. This is what kept your net together onto the sleeve tube at the start of the process. So you can just loop that if you want, but I'm talking specifically about these two. These guys just make sure your net stays down on the frame. So all we're gonna do with this, and it doesn't have to be super tight, is just come through your triangle here in the corner, and that's literally how easy it is. We're gonna do that on both sides. All right, now that we have that step done on each side of our net, we can now tip the net back up and continue our build of your 10/12-foot simulator series. Now it's time to install the screen. So what we're gonna do is unfold the screen and connect it to the netting system itself via the Velcro tabs on the screen. All right, so I've laid out the screen real quickly, but very important to note, you have a larger Velcro tab that's going to be facing up toward the ceiling. The smaller Velcro that's sewn on the back of the screen is going to be facing down, okay? So the larger Velcro is facing up, smaller Velcro facing down. Another important thing to note, this little red mark that we sew into the Velcro is to denote center on the net itself. This mark is going to line up with the Velcros on your net, okay? So that's how you're gonna know you're installing your screen to the center of the net. And both Velcros each have a red stripe sewn into them, okay? The thicker one and the smaller one, to make sure that you line up your screen to the center of your net. Let's continue on. All right, so now I move to the rear of the frame because it's going to be a little easier for me to install the screen. So again, I'm connecting up my two red dots with the larger Velcro, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out to my right and to my left to make sure my screen is really smooth along the Velcro. And just take your time because you don't want any waves in your screen. Once I've done the first side, and I'm going to work out the opposite side again from the center. And I'm taking my time because if I get any waves in it, I'm just going to reset it and redo it so it's nice and smooth once the screen is hanging in place. All right, so now I've connected up the back of that screen, the front of that screen to my larger Velcro tab. The smaller Velcro tab, I'll wait till the net is upright and I'll seal that off at the very end of the process. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna install the two smaller tubes on our side mounts, and these are gonna support the tube that goes inside the sleeve of the screen to hold the screen in place. So let's install these two end tubes now. All right, now I just connected up the tubes that are gonna hang the screen. So now that the rear tubes are connected up to hang the screen, I'm going to take these tubes and slide them through the sleeve on the screen itself, because there's a sewn-in sleeve there, and then we're going to connect each end together. Now that we've passed the support tube for the screen through the sleeve and we've connected it up, we can now stand our unit back up and finish the assembly process. This is really getting exciting. All right, so I flipped the net around so you can see how the back of it is, okay? So this is the rear side of the net. Now we still have to connect up the rear Velcro, and remember, we're connecting up our red to red in the back of the simulator. So this is the view from the rear. You're gonna need a small step stool to do this unless you're an NBA center. Let's get started installing the rear Velcro on our simulator series. All right, so we started, we sealed the right side. Now let's go seal the left side. Remember, our entire simulator bay is enclosed with high velocity netting, so a ball never leaves that hitting area. So now we've sealed the entire rear of our simulator bay, so you can see the netting once it's finally installed with the Velcro. It really provides complete protection from a ball ever getting through. Now, I'm gonna take this, we're gonna flip it around, and we'll finish the installation. All right, now I've connected up our two side support tubes, and we'll install these. One on the left side, one on the right side. So the easiest way to do this is you're gonna install the bottom silver to silver first. That's gonna slide in. And then the next thing is you're just gonna pop the top here and slide that down. Okay, now that we have our side support members in place, you've basically installed the entire frame, the screen itself, and the last piece remaining to install is the darkening valance that goes behind the unit and down the sides of the simulator series itself. Let's do that. All right, this is another point where you're gonna wanna have a friend help you install the simulator valance behind the sim series itself. So it's gonna come folded like so. You're gonna open it up, spread it out, turn it around. Make sure this guy right here is facing like so, because it's gonna Velcro up top, okay, to the center of the unit, and then we're gonna slide it around and hook it onto each of the rear support poles, and that's really how easy it's gonna go on. So Andreas and myself are gonna do that right now. All right, so the easiest way is get to the bottom of the valance, okay, on each side to install it, okay, the very bottom, and then we're just gonna loop it right over the top, slide it down the back, easy cheesy, lemon squeezy. Now let's straighten out the front here. Okay, yeah, straighten that out. Okay, so when we put on the valance, there's also Velcro up top here, okay, that we zip along to keep the front portion in place and the valance locked in place. Now, the valance covers the rear, the sides, and the top in terms of complete darkness, so you get a real crisp image on your screen. Important note, when you install your valance, make sure there's 2 holes sewn into the valance that connect over your rear support tubes, one on the left and one on the right. So you want to make sure that your valance covers those tubes. To ensure a ball never gets through, because you have the net hanging now, what I like to do is basically take the net, lift up the frame, and slide it underneath so that you cut off all possibility of a ball getting through. And you just work yourself around the frame that way. And that seals this area from a ball ever getting through. We're just gonna do that all around the frame just for that additional level of security so no duff balls get through. What I want to do is lift up the frame a little bit and slide the net through. This is just going to ensure that no balls ever leave that hitting bay, okay? So just leave a little bit of gap underneath, but basically the frame is laying on top of the net to seal out any gaps in the bottom of the unit as well. So it's fairly straightforward to do, but this ensures that no balls ever get through. So that seals it off from, again, any balls getting through. So we've created a seal all around the entire bay itself. And you can now see how the screen is just floating. So the next part of the assembly process is the installation of our side barriers. There's 2 colors, a red and a blue. If I'm facing the net, the blue is off to the left, my red is off to my right, okay? So remember, you have a pair of side barriers. These ensure mishit balls never leave the hitting area. And let's install these now as well. Okay, I'm back on my ladder, okay? And I'm locating the Velcro tab that is nearest the long strip of Velcro on the side, okay? There's another Velcro tab on this side barrier, but that's for the sandbag. Locate the Velcro tab that's nearest the long black Velcro tab, because this is gonna go all the way down the side of the net. Now, all you're doing with this tab is connecting it through one of the nearest loops up top. This is just so if the side barrier gets pulled, it always stays in place. Okay, so I'm gonna lift the valance, I'm gonna feed this through the loop in the netting itself, not around the sleeve, but just in the netting itself. So if this gets pulled, it always stays on. And then once I've done that, now the side barrier is just hanging with the Velcro tab waiting for me to connect it. So now I just work it down the entire length of the side barrier. And again, just take your time. Make sure none of the net gets tangled in the Velcro, because sometimes that can happen. I'm gonna work all the way down and then down the actual leg of the unit itself. No balls now can get through. There's another Velcro tab at the bottom, and that does exactly the same thing as the top tab. It wraps through the actual side netting, so if it gets pulled, it doesn't come off. So we'll undo that. And once we undo this, we're gonna pick a little piece of the net to slide it through. On the main impact net, we'll connect the Velcro tabs together. And then in the event that this gets pulled, it's not going to go anywhere. Once that's done, we can then extend out the side bearer and connect it to the actual sandbag itself. All right, so now I'm going to go to the other side with the blue Velcro tab. So if I'm facing the unit, this is the left side, and I'm going to connect up the blue Velcro side barrier. Okay, let's do the same process now, just on the other side. So again, just take your time and work down the sides. Make sure your net doesn't get tangled up in the Velcro. Okay, now that you're at your very bottom, you're going to connect up that last Velcro tab again. All right, now that you have the side bearers installed, the sandbags hold them out, and the clips on the end of those side bearers clip onto the handle of the sandbags, which keep it extended. Now, if you don't want to go out and fill your sandbags with sand, you can also utilize hand weights to keep the side bearers extended, like rubberized, maybe 10 or 15 pound hand weights will be fine as well. But with your unit, you have 4 sandbags shipped without sand. Each sandbag holds about 15 to 20 pounds of play sand, so you're going to want to pick up 2 50-pound bags and fill each of your 4 sandbags with between 15 to 20 pounds of sand. Your rear Velcro on each side bearer extends and connects to the handle, so you're going to have 1 sandbag holding out the right side barrier, 1 holding out the left side barrier, and the 2 remaining will actually go on the very back rear of the frame. All right, so now we just installed the side bearers. We have the entire unit pretty much set up. There's one more final thing to do, and that is to connect up the lower left and the lower right Velcro screen tabs. Let's do that now. All right, so we developed the floating screen for all of our simulators. And what a floating screen does, it's not taut on the frame at all. So all we're gonna do with this Velcro tab is connect it up to our side net so the corner doesn't flip up when the ball hits into the screen. So what we're gonna do is basically connect up this Velcro tab to our outside netting, just so when the ball hits the screen, the corner doesn't flip up. Let's do that. We connected up the left side of the screen. Now let's connect up the Velcro on the right side of the screen. Now that you've installed your Sim 10, the last piece of this puzzle is to utilize a hairdryer on high to take out any wrinkles on the screen itself. So it's going to give you a really nice image because that screen is shipped folded. So in order to get out the wrinkles, easiest way usually is a steamer or a hairdryer on high. Just make sure you don't melt the screen. It's a 100% polyester screen. It's a heavyweight screen. Don't melt it. Take your time and get a nice flat image on your screen. Another important note, do not use dirty golf balls hitting into your screen because you're going to have a dirty screen. Also, make sure you don't have any Sharpie notations or marks on your ball because that Sharpie is going to get transferred from your ball to your screen. So those are 2 important things to note prior to hitting the first ball into your simulator series. If you have any additional questions about your simulator series setup, please do not hesitate to reach out to you. We love to talk to our customers and answer any questions that you may have. We super appreciate your support of our products and our company. Thanks again for watching.